Yeah, all good.
Perfect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once more for joining us here on the expert stage at DataSwift's Decarbonisation Hack from Home, where we are seeking to explore how personal data and behavioural changes using personal data can be used to drive decarbonisation. We've had an action-packed day yesterday, the kickoff of the hackathon itself, the formation of the project teams, all sorts of really interesting ideas being thrown around within the particular team project channels. We've had some great talks on the first day's expert stage. We've had the occasional local Muzezin joining me as I give these. I know he's just starting again. Now we have our second day of talk. So kicking off today is one of our delivery partners on the Eastern New Energy project. I hope you can still hear me, which is Smartklub, who are going to be introducing their project, the Community Action Platform for Energy, CAPE. And so without any further chatting on my part, I'll hand it over to you, David.
Thank you, James, and nice to speak to everybody involved in this project. I'm going to rush through at some pace, and people can come back to me later if they want to know. So let's dig into the single biggest issue that faces both European, international, and the UK climate environment agenda is carbon reduction. It is shocking where we have led ourselves. If the UK government was to execute every single wind farm, solar panel, sea energy project that not only is in research funding, but is on the statute of possible future funding, we would drastically miss our carbon targets. So first of all, let's be absolutely clear, we are in a lot of trouble. And it was understood recently by the G8 and the Global Action Climate Change Plan for the world that the single biggest step to improving the position is now the involvement of the community. So the big industrial power plants have been done, they've been switching to hydro, they've been moving out of coal, moving out of oil. But the next big change, which I need your help for, is to start moving the thousands of small, 1,000 cuts, if you wish. The collective action of populations now is the greatest contribution we can make. I am extremely pleased and lucky to say we already have a platform that can cope with a street, a community, a town, a city, a country, even a collection of countries in the form of the Community Action Platform for Energy, CAPE. And what you see in front of you now is a snapshot of both what CAPE can do, but also the challenge. When looking at a vast population of different houses, we have no idea what energy state these houses are in. I'm working with a city called Stoke-on-Trent. They are at 70% fuel poverty. 70% fuel poverty. That means that their energy bill is actually affecting the fact that it's heat or eat. This cannot continue both for the planet and for the individuals. So we need a way using data to be able to rapidly identify where carbon can be saved through energy savings, energy efficiency, but also where green energy can be created. And we have this in the platform of CAPE, Community Action Platform for Energy. So I've got a schematic in front of you. Using CAPE, instead of just seeing a blind set of properties, we know that the building on the left is eligible for what's called HECRO. That's government funding for fuel poverty. The next house to the right is perfect for heat loss insulation because, as I'll show you in a second, we've been able to see through data that that house has no insulation in its roof. The next house is capable for rainwater harvesting. And as we go, we can then see the next houses are suitable for solar. And the next house has got a huge garden, which could be used for ground source heat pump, not just for its house, but for neighbours as well. Similarly with schools. And therefore, if we can use data for mass integration and understanding of now seeing through new eyes the energy potential and saving of a community, and I need your help to drive more and more people onto this platform. So what's our objectives? Hopefully I've made it clear, we have to reduce carbon. We have no choice in that. You've heard Greta Thunberg We've seen in London, the streets have come to a halt through protests. They've taken over St. Paul's. But now it's our chance to involve the communities and invite them to join us. Every street, every yoga club, every football club can join Cape. We can reduce the cost of energy by collecting these people together, by collecting the community together. We actually become more powerful than the large energy companies. And therefore, our ability to buy fuel becomes more powerful than British Steel, than Tesla, than Ford Motor Company. And we can generate our own green energy in our cities. The efficiency of a power station is 80%. Sorry, 20%. So we got 80% losses before it gets to the home. We can get up to 95% efficiency if we generate inside the city from our own gardens, from our own rooftops. So that's Cape. Cape brings together individuals, neighbours, community members, churches, schools, pubs, everybody coming together. And those groups that go first can invite those individuals. So you don't have to be an existing member of a club. Individuals can join existing clubs, and we'll see that it'll grow and grow and grow. So Cape, we engage, we educate, we let people know you've got £15,000, $15,000, 15,000 euros shining on your rooftop that's just being wasted. Or you've got £10,000, $10,000, 10,000 euros disappearing through your walls and your roofs that you cannot afford to lose. And we introduce a best practice framework. You don't have to be a designer. You don't have to have this knowledge. This is all done for you through Cape. So we bring projects, we bring them into action by informing people through data. We use some very, very good science in how we do this. We fly every city across Europe or the world. It doesn't matter where it is. This data is all available to us. By flying with a satellite, we can see all the heat loss emitting from the roofs. We can see all the solar potential on rooftops that haven't got solar panels on, and we can automatically fit the solar panels on and offer that back to the users. I now want to take you to some specific projects. I just need to move this. If it's possible to move that. Yes, it is. Great. So the history of Cape, just very quickly, I used to run all of the city strategy partnerships for an energy company called E.ON. And I have now taken that company completely out into Smartklub, and Smartklub owns and runs Cape, completely independent of all energy companies. But this is just another example that I want to get over of work that I have done with Cape and the effect it can have on a city. This is Stoke-on-Trent that I mentioned before, 70% fuel poverty. But we've also got declining industries. These are the old industries of the 70s, potting, steel, ceramics, etc. We can use all this wasted energy to create new wealth. And this is the Center of Refurbishment Excellence. This is actually a whole new university built around the emerging market. So you wouldn't, in helping me drive people to use Cape, you wouldn't just be fighting climate change. You'll be creating wealth. You'll be creating education. This university was built on the value and the market of energy saving. So you can see the old kilns there. If you go to Stoke now, you'll walk into the Centre of Refurbishment Excellence, and it's a university of energy saving. I helped initiate this design, I helped design it, and it is all fundamentally funded through energy saving. We have to work together. The community do not understand the very simple collective action that we can take. They need a compass point. By working together, everybody can see how they fit in to a city solution, to a community solution. But we have to fight new ways. I'd like you to think when you're hacking today that we have to really turn the world on its head. we really can, as a community, totally change the way energy is used in a city. We will be the energy generators. We will own the means of energy, both saving as well as production. And the power of working together, we will completely change the economics of our cities. It will become our wealth generation, it will become our future jobs, as well as saving the planet. It is through working together, and this is what I'm so interested to see you join me and help me to do. Now that we've built CAPE, we now need to drive communities to it, using all the social media techniques, using all the knowledge of connected communities, using ideas that we can't even think of that are in your mind, and share that with us. And we see this as taking this on beyond the hackathon. We'd like to work with interested people in carrying this on. And let's not also forget about the fuel poverty side of this. This is absolutely necessary, that working together, this will actually save lives. It will save, there are babies unfortunately dying in bedrooms with damp and mold spurs, and the #1 GP reference on respiratory issues is unfortunately due to lack of heating. So we need to get affordable warmth in our towns and our cities. I'm just going to help navigate you through just a couple of schematics that help show that this eventually all joins up across an entire city. There's another city I'm working with called Sheffield. Eventually we have a digital twin of the entire city, not just the solar on the roofs, not just the heat losses, but eventually this actually connects into a district heating scheme. So businesses that are using too much heat, currently just dumping it to air, and put that in a pipe, and that pipe is, in Sheffield's case, it's waste being burnt, turns to energy, pumped in water that goes all around the city, including wind farms, electrical vehicles. But in this case, the take-home point for all of you is to understand that the community own and run their own energy. It's in partnership with the local council. We're not fighting against, there's no competitors in this. There is a place, the energy companies want this. This is where we came from. Our roots were from a large energy company. It is literally too big a fight for any one company to manage the challenge of citywide energy efficiency. I'll take you through a couple of more pictures that will help explain. This is now where we get to the individual house. So this is where you land on CAPE. You put in your postcode or your neighbour's postcode. Or
sorry, we're just at the moment we can see just your email inbox. I don't know if you saw you showing us something slightly different there.
So my screen's now got my full picture, but it's an image. So that hasn't come up, no?
Yeah, I'm just seeing your calendar invite from us for this.
Okay, so it isn't. Okay, how do I do that then? So my screen has got a full image on it.
I think when you share your screen, you might have shared a window. Or
yeah, so if I do a new share, is it? There we are. Has that got us there?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
So out of all those boxes, actually, there is actually one called screen. Okay, cool. So this is where you land, and you would enter your postcode or your granddad's postcode or your sister's postcode, and we can see here it's number 67 Edinburgh Drive, and from that we can immediately get all of our satellite data. We get the energy performance certificate, which by government is stored in most countries. We have some form of digital certificate of its energy rating. We can pull all this together, and for free to all users, we will run an analysis on that house and come back with the amount of carbon that's being saved, the best suitability for the house, whether you're a house best for solar and insulation, or best for a ground source heat pump, or even best to join a community scheme. We'll cost that as well. We'll show you the savings. So again, not only is Cape free, but we'll show financed schemes. In other words, schemes that already generate so much savings that it doesn't cost you anything to switch. You can simply just say, yes, please switch my house either over to insulation or solar, and it doesn't actually cost the user anything to do that because there are enough savings there to effectively fund the scheme. And that's kind of the whole point of that. Let me just see my next. Pretty much done most of it, but there are a couple of more images I wanted to get through. Has that come up?
Supplier offers, offer name,
Yep.
offer name, offer
Great.
name.
Yep. Good. So I can't actually share specific supplier names, etc. But once we've gone through that analysis of what suits the house the best, then we also have a bot that runs a Amazon style, whether you prioritize suppliers being local or cheapest, etc. If you wanted to go into a deeper analysis and actually choose who you want to work with, then Cape will also run a local supplier search. Now, this is really important for jobs because so many suppliers are not digitally present. They don't have to work with a big city on solar scale work. It's just too hard for them. Where with Cape, not only is it helping the individual, it's helping the supply chain as well, because they can join Cape and suddenly all of their local skills become available. And then you can do that and then finally select your solution. In this case, it's a 5.5 kilowatt solar system. You can buy the system if that's what your economics allow it, or you could loan the system, or you can lease the system. So in all cases, it doesn't actually have to cost you outlay. You can simply pay for it through savings. And then if we look at a real project in a city I'm working with called Milton Keynes, here we're now working with local schools. And here we've got a local school in a community where we are effectively doing all of the design work for free via Cape for them, sizing the panels. That will then go back into the community. And the next stage is we're going to set up what's called an ESCO, which is an energy services company owned and run by the community. And we expect we'll be able to get 700 houses powered by solar, and also in partnership with Tesla. We'll have one of the largest community batteries in Europe within this system, and we'll be able to work with the energy markets in selling that energy, and everybody will get 100% green energy tariff, affordable, up to 25% cheaper than the big energy companies are offering. And we start to drag this country and other countries out of fuel poverty into affordable warmth and into a sustainable state of energy management. So that's CAPE, Community Action Platform for Energy. The problem is huge. We need everybody's help to turn this environmental disaster around, but the future is bright because through data, through platforms like CAPE, communities are empowered now, and we have the potential to take the future control of energy into our hands. But we need the help of partners and you guys to breathe life into CAPE, to get many, many, many more users on it, or suggest new use cases for it. At the moment, the main use cases are solar, they are energy insulation, they are, we're just working on a vehicle to grid, and also connecting isolated houses that are on oil, for instance, getting those economic cases connected to the grid. So I've said a lot. In summary, the community can take control of their energy future so that they can afford to be warm and also drive economics into their local towns and cities for future jobs. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Interesting. Well, thank you very much for that. I think there's definitely, we've had a few questions come in. I would like to ask a couple first. So I'd like to ask two, three even. So just to be very clear, so the CAPE tools that you have, that's a general tool that anyone can use. It's for free, I guess, designed to educate and inform. You then have the ESCO as a sort of implementation of the platform, plus then having this decentralized grid. Is that correct? Would that be a correct description?
Yeah, so a couple of questions in one there. First of all, CAPE exists as a portal, as a platform that anybody can join in their city, so correct. So you would get a log on to CAPE, you would form your own account, you can invite your neighbors, football club, pub to join, and you would suddenly see your house, as we've just seen. Suddenly see your rooftop, suddenly see your heat loss, suddenly see your potential. But you'd also see the other projects that are in your town. For instance, you may see an existing ESCO. Now, your second question was, is the ESCO separate? It's a kind of application of what comes after CAPE. So CAPE eats energy problems in its mouth, if you like. It hunts and eats energy problems, particularly fed to it by enthusiastic communities. And it produces solutions. One of the solutions it produces is something called an ESCO, which is a business model, which CAPE shows the community that there's enough profit in the energy management of their house, town, school, whatever, local development, to be able to generate all their own electricity and pay off the cost of any of that equipment needed to effectively come off the grid. So yes, the ESCO is a separate thing. It could be seen as a plug-in to CAPE. We have one of these ESCOs running in Nottingham called Trent Basin. We have 700 houses all linked up to a big battery that sells to grid, and every house has mobile solar that can be lifted up and lifted off. So you can join for 6 months or come out. Or at the moment, everybody has joined and nobody wants to leave, but you could just join and leave and become a member of the team, as it were. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Thanks. I have a couple more, but I'm actually going to turn
Please
to
do.
the questions from the floor. So yes, there's one around selling money back into the grid. So does the ESCO, that solar community that's created, do they generate power purely for themselves, or do they sell it back to the grid?
So they do both, because the nature of solar is it generates, when solar generates more power than the individual instantaneously needs, then you would need to store the additional power. There are two ways you can store it. You can store it locally, individually in just your house through a tiny battery, or you can store it collectively in a community battery. And in the Trent Basin example, we store all those 700 houses' excess energy into the large community battery, which allows us to take it up to grid voltage. And then, to answer the question specifically, we actually sell that. So we sell back to the grid, but that's easily misunderstood as, so each individual house has a very poor trading offer from the grid. But if we use a community battery, we get up to high voltage. Now we're in the proper energy markets, in the trading markets. We actually work with an integrator called Shell Energy, and we're actually on the daily markets. We're fighting alongside the British Gases and the Engies for best prices on the grid. So we make much more money by being able to.
Who owns the battery?
We do, the ESCO.
The ESCO. And what is the ESCO as an entity?
The ESCO as an entity is a not-for-profit organization of all of its members on all of those roofs. So as an entity, it's a not-for-profit company that any resident can join. Okay,
thanks. Now we have time for a couple more questions. I see there's someone here. We have, I think, a data science question come in. So CAPE creates an initial energy profile of a town and recommends energy saving solutions to participants. But how do you deal with the model changing as more participants come aboard?
It just gets stronger. So Cape currently has, if we give the example of Milton Keynes, Cape currently has 100,000 homes and businesses modeled. So it's a digital twin of every single building. So for us, it's actually quite easy to make it very, very large. As the people join and the businesses join, you can't break it. You can only make it stronger. So the nature of the model is it grows by the extent it's used. So therefore, the more people that come onto the platform, the more the platform's used. The business case for the platform is there's a very small percentage of financing that goes back into Cape. Every supplier that supplies a solar panel or an insulation panel or whatever funds some money back into Cape, which just means the more it's used, the stronger it gets. But the other interesting thing we found that we didn't expect is because Cape has far greater value as a social impact model, because the country and the world is in problems, that more and more companies and brands want to be associated with it. So it actually will get stronger the more it's used, as I suppose as Facebook is strong. Facebook is worth a lot of money because it's used by a lot of people. The same with Cape. As we save more and more and more tons of carbon tons, with people like Shell and British Gas and Tesla want to sponsor it. We're getting a lot of interest, particularly from banks at the moment, that want to be associated with a brand that is doing good. So the question is, how will we cope as the model changes? Well, first of all, as far as use case is concerned, population, number of users, Cape gets stronger the bigger it gets. As far as technology changes, Cape is agnostic to technologies. It can handle more and more and more and more technologies. It has a technology library. We've briefly discussed insulation, solar, ground source heat pump. It can actually do solar farms, so we can find plots of land, and we're looking for more and more use cases. We're just doing vehicle to grid now, and there's an economic model case being built for that. So yeah, it gets stronger the more it's used.
I've got an eye on the times. I think we have our next speaker coming, but I wanted to ask one more thing for you to flag before we hand over to the next speaker, which is, we chatted a few times in the run up to the event, and it seemed to me you have this really interesting Cape platform. You have the ESCO, but you're still looking for ways to incentivize the creation of more ESCOs and onboard more people within specific ESCOs.
Correct.
That's correct, isn't it?
Absolutely correct.
Something for teams working on related ideas is, how is this rendered? How do you get those incentives in there, either from some profit sharing thing or just any kind of incentive to get people to sign up more and onboard people into ESCOs and more ESCOs? Yeah. James,
you've possibly hit on the number one thing now. We've got a gem here. We've got we've got a real diamond of a solution. But as Liverpool University, who are working with us, said, we need the water bucket challenge. Something in Cape, either the carbon tons it saves, or the babies' lives it saves, or the fuel poverty that is saved through it. Something needs to go viral, where it just goes across YouTube, Facebook, and suddenly it's in every living room. So you're absolutely right. It's that incentivization, or maybe it's a person's story or a people's story, but there is something that will move, and we can't possibly find that needle in a haystack where we sit.
Is there also something around, so one piece is viral growth. Is there also something around directly incentivizing the communities themselves to come together and create their own ESCOs?
Absolutely.
Some sort of model, some entity model wherein people want to do that.
Yes. Yeah. That would be equally powerful.
On the business side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, look, we have our next speaker sitting here. Hello, Emily. Welcome. David, if you are amenable, I have a couple of projects I'd love to put you in touch with. In fact, they've been pinging me throughout your talk.
Thank you.
If you have an hour or two after this, is that okay?
Yeah, on and off. So I'm here for the whole day.
Yes.
I'm here for the whole day. So just let me know how I can talk to people. If there's anybody live in the room now wants to talk to me, I'm here. I've got a couple of appointments during the day, but yeah, I'm here and would love to talk to interested parties.
Wonderful. Would you be okay to join the hackathon Slack? We can send you a link to that and then throw you into the Teams there.
What time is it?
Well, so as in like our Slack channel. So it's like the
Please send the link.
Channel. Okay, great.
Yeah, please send the link.
Do that. Lovely. All right, we better pop on to the next speaker. But
okay,
David,
cool.
thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. Really interesting
Cheers.
to hear what you guys have been up to.
Okay. Best of luck. Talk to everyone later. Bye now.
Great. Thank you.